So back in 2019, MGM Studios, who holds the rights to the original Child's Play, produced a remake to that original Child's Play film, while Universal, who owns the rights to all the sequels, was trying to develop a TV series. M3GAN is basically Universal saying, oh, you want to remake Child's Play? Well, we're going to remake your remake. Checkmate, bitch. What is up, everybody, and welcome to the first movie review of 2023. And per usual, we're kicking it off with a January horror film review. Yeah, so oftentimes, those of us with January birthdays especially know, January films tend to suck ass. This used to be a dumping ground for all of the films that studios had no faith in, didn't think they were going to make much box office, and since not many people go to the movies in January and February, that's where they would often fall. But it has been a bit of a turnaround the past couple of years. I mean, we had just Scream 5 last year that was actually pretty damn good in my opinion, and the reviews and the critical reception of M3GAN has actually been pretty solid. So I walked into this film with pretty low expectations. The trailer didn't do a whole lot for me. As I joked about, it looked very reminiscent of Child's Play 2019, and the only notoriety that the marketing was getting was that little fucking jig dance that she was doing, and that's not what I go to slashers for. So does M3GAN carry on the tradition of January horror garbage, or is this potentially the start of a new Blumhouse franchise? Well, let's get into it. And I'm pleased to say that while this movie certainly doesn't reinvent the wheel or deliver anything that I haven't seen done before, it is solid and it is entertaining. It does the job, and it's better than most January horror films that we've seen in the past. First off, the design and the execution of the character of M3GAN has that really good and very essential balance of having it look like a cute doll that kids actually would want to play with, while also being able to subtly transition into something very creepy and sinister. And the movie does a really solid job at setting up the purpose of M3GAN and setting up, the original concept and the parameters and the programming of M3GAN, and giving you a plausible reason why throughout the runtime of the movie she would turn a little bit murderous and a little bit sadistic, while executing and fulfilling the purpose that she was created for.
You should probably run.
And it also does a pretty solid job at doing some mild commentary on parenting and the effects of parents being there, and also the effects of absent parenting, something that yet again was explored in Child's Play 2019, but I'll get into all that. They do a good job with it. And for me personally, I actually thought that the comedy side of this, both intentional and unintentional, was executed even better than the horror. So if you're somebody that likes to have a lighthearted time with your horror and your slashers, you want to laugh, you want to be able to keep it light and not just be in this dark, dreary, and kind of tense experience the entire time, M3GAN does a really good job at inserting these lines, inserting these situations, and these sight gags that keep you laughing while also trying to keep you on the edge of your seat. And I liked the way that they created the doll of M3GAN and the way that they shot the doll. Now, I've done zero research whatsoever. I assume that that was somebody, an actual little girl with just a doll face, a doll mask that was on, because there was a lot more fluid human movements than something that would have been obviously animatronics, but it works. It works at keeping that robotic vibe to it, just enough of that robotic edge, while also having this human, more advanced AI movement to it. And so I like the way that they brought that to life. Moving on to the mixed aspects of M3GAN, unfortunately, this is a Blumhouse film, and so the trailer is essentially the entire fucking movie in 2 minutes. Don't watch Blumhouse trailers anymore. I mean, until they learn to stop doing that. Although, of course, their data shows that most people actually like being told the whole movie, so what the fuck do I know? I enjoy watching the movie in the theaters. I guess I'm old school. Nonetheless, because of the marketing, as well as because of the fact that there is some very classic and some very familiar elements to this movie, there was not a whole lot of surprises in store. It was fairly predictable. Even one element that was meant to be this cool moment in the third act, I saw the writing on the wall when it was first introduced in the first act. Now, the reason why I'm saying that it's mixed and not a full-on negative is because I don't always think that a movie, or even a horror film, needs to be 100% original. Like last year, we got Smile, was actually one of my favorite horror films, one of the more surprising films of the year, and that movie is very familiar, but it was executed well. And so sometimes I'm okay with watching a movie that I can kind of see the path written out in front of me. I don't have a whole lot of shocks and surprises, but it does a solid job at what it's trying to do. And going along with the fact that the movie feels familiar, I've joked about it numerous times up to this point, this movie is so much like the Child's Play 2019 remake. All of you guys that were all over Twitter back in 2019 saying, why the fuck would they call this Child's Play? They could have just made it its own thing. Well, here's its own thing. It's this movie. I mean, this movie has about 70% in common with Child's Play 2019. You got a kid that has this need for a companion. You get this new AI doll that's brought in that has the parameters of be servant to this kid. Give this kid every emotional and physical bit of protection that you can give them. And that parameter makes them start to do some shit when bullies come around or when adults hurt the kid or when stuff like that happens. There's commentary on parenting and the effects on childs in both films. Even some specific sequences in this are similar. And so you will never convince me that this movie was not made as a not so subtle fuck you to MGM for all of the drama and turmoil that their remake created. I'm not going to get into it here. You can look it all up. The people that produced the Child's Play series for Universal fucking despise everybody that was involved with the MGM Child's Play remake. And so that's the only thing that keeps this out of the negative for me, is that I kind of appreciate the balls and the boldness that Universal had to do that. Even if they never admit it, you're never going to convince me that wasn't the motivation for making this movie. And now moving on to the negatives of M3GAN. And this one is going to be probably hotly debated in the comment section down below. I could not fucking stand the little girl in this movie. Now, I understand that her character arc itself is of a broken, traumatized, damaged little girl. The movie opens up with her parents being killed in an accident. That is the setup for the film, and of course, yes, it's in the trailer. Remember what I said? Blumhouse trailers? They told you everything. So, she is very damaged. She's very unemotional at times and overly emotional at times. And so I get that may be a realistic portrayal of somebody that is in that situation. I was not a kid that lost their parents, nor do I know any kids that lost their parents in a tragic accident, so I don't have a point of reference. All I can tell you is that as a viewer, that little girl infuriated me throughout the entire last half of this movie. She's disrespectful, she's smug. There's like a good hour of the film where her face never moves from this. She's bitchy to her aunt. She talks back about everything. There's actually a point in the movie where she lashes out and full on smacks an adult. As a father, that kills me. Like, it turns on my fatherly instincts and makes me feel like I gotta go do some drive-by parenting real quick. So unfortunately for the character that we're supposed to be kind of latched into and have a bit of sympathy for because she needs this friendship that M3GAN is providing, and then all of the darkness and evil and carnage that friendship is creating is gonna cause a bit of a turmoil in us, like, oh God, but she needs her, but that bitch is evil. It doesn't really work all that well when you don't like the little girl. And finally, this movie is clearly cut down from a rated R original film to make a PG-13 theatrical cut. I think they even confirmed that on Twitter. I could be wrong about that, but I know for a fact that the director said, you know guys, I promise you the PG-13 cut is actually even scarier. Get the fuck out of here with that. I cannot think of a single example in horror history where watering down the gore and the kills and the horror that you're going for makes the movie scarier. If you have an example, please by all means correct me down in the comment section below. But believe you me, the only single solitary fucking motivation for Blumhouse cutting this down to PG-13 in the editing stage is to get more money during the theatrical run. Widely known fact, PG-13 movies, even horror, tend to do better box office when they're PG-13 because more people can go and watch it. And I guarantee you day fucking one that they get ready to release this thing to streaming or to Blu-ray, it's gonna be the unrated cut, and they're gonna market the shit out of it, and the version that you didn't see in theaters, it's even crazier. Watch. Mark my words. Now don't get me wrong. Cutting this down to a PG-13 did not kill this movie. No pun intended. But it's very obvious when you watch the kill scenes that they're cutting to black or they're cutting to a different angle or a different shot when there was presumably practical effects right there in the original format that this was supposed to be released in. And as somebody that likes carnage candy, especially in a movie that's going for slasher vibes, I like my gore. It absolutely feels like the movie is missing a little bit of edge to me. And it will always feel that way if this is the only version that I'm able to watch. And the reason why I'm getting so passionate when I'm talking about this is because, like clockwork, whenever we get a PG-13 horror film, you inevitably get people that are saying, oh man, I was wishing it was rated R. Oh man, I watched it and you could tell that it was a rated R version. I wish I could see the gore. And you get these condescending fucks on Twitter. Even Fangoria is doing this shit, where they condescend everybody and say, oh, once again, everybody's complaining about PG-13 horror. Eye roll emoji. Here, let me pull out Google. Let me make a list of 45 amazing PG-13 movies that have come out in the past 20 years. Yeah, no shit, okay? Those of you guys that oversimplify a debate so that you can make everybody else seem stupid and do your little dunk move, you're fucking insufferable. Nobody complaining about the lack of gore in M3GAN is unaware of the fact that movies like A Quiet Place were awesome. And they're also not unaware of the fact that making a movie rated R doesn't automatically make it better or good. For those of us that like gore, that like carnage, and you give us a movie with killing without all of that, it's like eating a cheeseburger with no toppings, okay? It could be a really good cheeseburger, but it could be better. So all in all, guys, if you were sold by the marketing, if this looked like a movie that you could have fun with, most likely you're gonna have fun with it. It is very solid, especially as a counterpoint to Child's Play 2019. If for whatever reason you hated that movie or didn't want to acknowledge its existence but liked the premise, here is your movie. Go and watch this counter programming. It's effective, it's fun, it's got some good humor, just a little bit too watered down for my taste, and I wish that the girl at the center of it was a little bit more of a tolerable character, we'll say. But I had a good time. Well, that's it for this one, guys. If you enjoyed this, please click over here for all of my reviews of last year's new releases. And I'm also going to put my Child's Play tier list up here if you're a fan of killer doll movies. Please like and share this video. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the rest of the hopefully awesome year that is 2023 on this channel. And as always, remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean you have to be.